I have struggled with anxiety for the longest time, and during that time, I did not know what it was. I did not know what the issue was at all. I just thought I was just this person that was always afraid to go out, or when she did go out, she felt like leaving the place immediately because it was just so uncomfortable. And not for any particular reason, it was a perfectly normal thing with people that I knew, but I just did not feel safe, and I felt like something bad's going to happen. I have to go back home. That's what it felt like. And at that time, I just did not know that it was anxiety. Nobody could tell me that it was anxiety. We just never used to talk about mental health. And if you're from a community like mine, talking and sharing feelings is not something that is done. If you do so, you may be seen as this entitled person that does not want to take on life as it is. Like these are things that are part of life and you should just suffer silently. Like just struggle on your own. Don't tell us about your feelings. That's the general thing about it here. But I had to look inward and really see what exactly is going on in me. I never understood who I was. I knew that I wanted to do certain things, but I never knew why. When I got there, I did not want to see it through because I was too afraid. Not because I didn't want it, I was just too afraid. And my fear was not justified at all. I was having all these thoughts in my mind that did not make any sense. Like I just make up like the worst case scenario. And it's like, you know what, it's better for me to avoid this than actually experience it so many days. That's what that was always my reaction to such things. But my struggle with anxiety is something that has inspired this episode. So generally anxiety is a feeling of uneasiness, worry, and nervousness about something with an uncertain outcome. You don't know why you're worried, you don't know why you're nervous all the time. You just don't know why. There's too much uncertainty going on. Nothing can justify the way you're feeling, and sometimes you can feel like you're going crazy. So these are some of the common things, particularly most of them actually. When I was making research for this video, I found that most of them are things that I resonate with, which was shocking. I didn't know how bad it was, and I did not know that I would be like a classic example of an anxious person, but I am. And one of the one of the times, I think this was like in the late stages of it, I would just find myself running out of breath. It's like I'm struggling to breathe. It was insane. And it would really happen when I was in cars. Because as a child, I really feared cars. I do not know. I just felt like if somebody goes into a car, they don't come back. I was okay with buses because we would go in the bus and then we would go. Like I was okay with that. Buses were fine. But cars, specifically cars, it was like quite a challenge. It was like this big monster who would just go in cars and they never come back. So for me that's something that I always had in my mind. So with my anxiety when it really got really bad, I just find myself if I'm in a taxi, I'll just feel like I'm running out of breath. I'll feel like the driver is going too fast and we are going to crash. That's how I would feel like. So I'll just be like, no, this is really bad. Like, please stop the car. Let me walk home. That's how it would feel like. But then eventually it was like, okay, Denise, just look around. There are other people in the same situation as you. They are not scared. They are normal. And everybody's looking at you weird because you're like this crazy person who wants to pass out in the taxi. And that really wasn't the case. I was just afraid that we were going to die. That's why I felt like I was afraid we were going to die. And it just made me so scared. And for me, that was like a telltale sign that, oh my God, things are really getting bad. By the time you just be there and then you start running out of breath because you're in a car. And like as if it's your first time to be in a car. And it was just so weird. And I felt like I was honestly going crazy. I just felt like I was at the edge. Like any moment now, I could jump. And you know how usually anxiety and depression, like they're sisters, they come together. They just come together. They go everywhere together. And it's like if you have anxiety, there's like some depression right there with you. It's like it's really pushing you. So for me, that's how I really felt. So if you find yourself running out of breath in situations because you have like this fear that something bad may happen, I just find like your heart is really racing really, really quickly. That could be a sign. especially in situations that are seemingly normal, but for you, for some reason, you feel like something bad is going to happen. And yet, that is not even like there is no logical explanation to that. And then there was the next time for me, it was like unnecessarily crying. Maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh on myself when I say unnecessarily, but you just be there like you tell me something I don't want to do, I would cry immediately. Immediately. I found myself crying because I asked the teacher to give me the phone to call my mom and he refused. So I started crying. And that's something that I don't usually do. Usually when they say no, I just move on with my day. But that particular day, I just said no. Like no. I was it was the I was going to do my N levels and if you know the stress that kids go through at that time, like you don't sleep. You don't sleep. Like you feel like if you're going to sleep, something like that time, like you just feel guilty for sleeping because that's time like you could have used reading, but then you know to read and memorize stuff you actually don't need to sleep. So it was during that period, we were about 2 to 3 weeks to the finals, and I just really had to talk to my mom. And he was saying no. And it was like, no way. So I started crying. And that same thing happened when I was asked to answer something in class and I just did not want to do it. For me, it was like there are other people that know this. I did not want to do it. Why are you picking me? And I just could not help but cry. I just cried out of nowhere. It was like I was so defeated. I was so defeated. I could not figure it out. So when I'm in a really bad place mentally, I can I get really emotional quite quickly over even small things that I usually take on well. I just start crying because I feel defeated and I feel bad, and most times I do not know exactly why. Then another sign, there's another sign that shows this is stomach discomfort. Like you just be there, and then like when you get a thought about something, like think about when results are almost coming out, or when you have to check your photo for the results, you kind of feel like maybe your heart is sinking, or you're having like this stomach discomfort, or you could even feel like you want to puke. Those are all signs that it's anxiety. But this usually happens like when you're waiting for something, like you've worked so hard for something and it's going on, or even when maybe you're meeting new people, this could happen. Then another sign is excessive worry. You're worried all the time. All the time you're worried. There's no reason why you should be worried, but you're worried. You're worried something may go wrong. You're worried someone may die. You're worried this may not work out. You're worried you may fail the exam. I mean, I get the whole thing about failing exam. Like what academic stress has not done to me, I just don't know. I just feel like it it just it has just done so much to my mental health. The second such a toll on me. The second such a toll on me. I'm doing this because I'm just I want it to be done, but for some reason it doesn't want to be done. I hope I get somewhere, but it just does the worst thing. And another sign of anxiety that actually is really, really, really accelerated by academic stress. Every time I'm about to do exams, it's like those 2 to 3 days leading to the exams. It's like I don't want to read. I know there is something that I could do. I know there is something that I could be practicing, but I just do not do it. I just keep on overthinking. I just overthink and think and think until I find that the day has gone. I've not done anything and I feel exhausted from doing nothing. Why? Because I don't like, I know I have this and I cannot stop it. Exams really stress me out, and during those situations, I just find that my anxiety levels really, really go up. Apprehension is another sign of anxiety. If you find that you're always scared of things, you always have like this feeling that things might not go well. That's like a big tell sign of anxiety. Then another point that we have here is difficulty concentrating. If you find that during those days towards exams you cannot concentrate, that's something that should tell you that you're anxious, which is perfectly normal. It happens, and this happens to me all the time. Those days going towards the exams, I just find that I just find myself putting in maybe less or putting in more. Like I just need to be like in a real pressure room for me to get it done. And I try to put myself in such situations by maybe procrastinating a little bit of them, like, oh my god, no, I've not yet done my final touches. And then I do them. But like I have to, it has to be like a live or death situation for me to concentrate on those lessons, which is strange because for like the past few months I've been doing it. Like I wake up and then I put in my hours. I do it diligently. But then like those days leading up to exams is just bad. And that happens maybe towards exam, maybe towards your wedding or towards a big situation, like something that's going to define your life significantly. You may find that you have some anxiety towards that. Then avoidance, you find that you avoid situations where a lot of people are involved. So maybe people that usually over cancel plans, you were meant to go out, but then you cancel last minute. Sometimes not because you don't want to do this, not because of anything, but because you just you can't find the energy to walk out of the door. You're just too afraid to do it. Although initially you wanted to do it, maybe it was even your idea, but then you cancel it last minute. Then another sign, it's a sign, but then it's also a coping mechanism, a coping mechanism, like rituals. People that have their rituals, like they must do this before they start their day. They must do this before they do their exam. They must do this particular thing in this particular order before they do something. That's a sign that you're an anxious person and you're trying to cope with it so that you can get through your day well. For example, something like if you don't maybe say have your dance classes, you may just jump over or something. Like it will be so unbearable for you. And it may actually really not help you at all, especially when it comes to like your other mental conditions, for example, depression. Yeah. So you really, people that usually have those rituals, it's like a way for them to try and cope with the anxiety and the nerves that come with the work that they do or the things that they have to do in the day. Then poor sleeping habits, people that you find awake at strange hours. For example, like this person is awake from four, not four, some people would really do genuinely wake up at four, but like midnight to 3 a.m. to 4. Like for them, like that's their prime time. Those are poor sleeping habits, and they sleep during day. So when people are sleeping, for them they are awake, and when people are awake, for them they are sleeping. It can be seen how like it kind of isolates you and all that because you're too anxious to be out with them. But if you say you are sleeping because you are tired, that's like a perfect excuse. So if you have poor sleeping habits, that's a big sign of anxiety as well. Then increased vigilance. Like you're always checking, like let me say you lock the door, but then you have to go back and check on it like 3 times, 4 times, 5 times before you sleep because you're scared maybe I did not do it and someone may come in, things like that. If it's something like you have to first notice like this is not something that I used to do before, but now I do it more and more and more often. I don't trust the people around me. That's like a big telltale sign that you're an anxious people. I know some anxious people have a lot of trust issues. They just don't trust anything around them. They they may think that everyone's out to get them as well. Then you may have difficulty in problem solving, specifically because hmm, you spend your time thinking about a particular thing and then you don't leave enough time to actually solve the problems in your life or any complex situations that are going on because you spend your time overthinking about some uncertainty that's not going to happen and maybe some you have to go to this party but then oh god the social anxiety and all that you keep thinking about that and that's not like the main issue, that's not the main issue at all. That's going to happen for like an hour or two at most and then you have this real life that you have to get back to, but then because you spend all your time thinking about the other thing you don't leave any time to actually think about how you could resolve these issues in like the complexities in your life at all. Then we have catastrophic thinking. You just keep on thinking about bad things, like the worst things could happen. Then we have other things like mood swings. 1 minute you're okay, and the next minute like maybe you just saw a person and your mood just went poof, like the whole thing. Your whole mood was going because this thing reminds you of that. Then excessive sweating as well, trembling, and tension headaches. Those are all signs of anxiety. So based off that, do you think you're an anxious person? Yes or no? Comment down below.